Good morning, everyone. Once again, your favorite global realtor, Denisse Macias, today bringing it to you live. And today we are going to be discussing Portugal, and I am so incredibly excited for this. So, if you're an entrepreneur looking for your next business venture, this is your place. If you are an investor looking to diversify your portfolio, this is the place to be. And if you are a business professional interested in learning about doing business in Portugal, you are in the right place. Once again, welcome and thank you for taking so much time out of your morning to join us today. And my name is Denisse Macias. I will be your host, and I am located in Boise, Idaho. And I have been working in international business for the last 15 years of my career, relocating corporates, relocating families, and relocating executives that are looking to do cross border transactions. And today with me, I have Alejandro Costa, and Alejandro is magnificent. He is a strategic leader and entrepreneur, and he holds a master's in political science and international relations. And he also has a law degree and complemented with certifications in coaching, pedagogical competencies, and NLP. I said that correctly. I tried to practice it a couple of times. You're going to have to tell us what that is, Alejandro. I'm interested. But also, Alejandro is currently the CEO and managing partner of Vanguard Lawyers, a law firm, Village Curiosity, a local accommodation and real estate investment firm, and Decisão Ordenada, which does credit and insurance in Portugal. He is fluent in Portuguese, Spanish, and English with intermediate French. And also, he is an incredible father of two beautiful children. So, welcome, Alejandro. I am so excited to have you here today. And how are you doing?
Thank you for inviting me, Denise, and bye, because you already said everything about me, so I'm just saying hi and bye. Uh, so it's a pleasure to be here with you, and I hope we can discuss a bit how Portugal is looking like for for the world. We are bringing so many investors here, and it's such a tiny Western European place that I'm telling the builders build more because we need more places to accommodate all these investors, which is good. I love it actually, as you may understand why.
Yep, absolutely. A supply and demand. And you're right. I think the biggest part of our stock right now here in Idaho is actually new construction. And that was the biggest stock of our market for, it's been for a couple of months now, too. A lot of the resale process is, it's slowed down a bit, but the developers were really picking up. So, anyways, well, let's get into it then. Let's talk a little bit about the current economic climate in Portugal. And if you could please give us a macro look and then move into the micro sector of where you're living, that would be great. And if you could place emphasis on sectors that are currently thriving, we would love to hear about it.
Of course. So Denise, even though we have had left wing, center left wing parties for the past 8, 9 years in Portugal. So more of a socialist party in power than center right wing parties. Even though we've had very much the hand of the government in many of the laws regarding investments and construction and so on and so on, even like that, we've had economic growth in Portugal. We've been bringing a lot of external investors. The real estate market for the past 10 years grew like 200%. Like you
Wow.
spoke about supply and demand, the prices skyrocketed because of that, because the demand is high and the supply is less and less. But still, we are becoming like the El Dorado for many places. We've been considered one of top five places to live in the world for the past years in different magazines and websites and blogs like Forbes and so on. And why? Because Even though inflation is here,
Mhm.
Portugal is still one of the best places to live in when it comes to that, to pricing. Portugal is still a very safe place. So if you see the rankings in the world, Portugal is still one of the safest places to live in. And of course, the culture. We are over 800-year country. We have history, large history in our country. Like you already know, this was before the kingdom of Leão and Castelo, which was a mix of Spanish and Portuguese after the Romans left. But we have managed to become independent, and still being so long ago, we have 800 years history, right? We are a very old country. So our culture is rich, and people love that. And people love to come and see the old places, the old towns with stone, like the deep roots that define us, the very nice wine, the food that is very characteristic, and with very sophisticated flavors. And you have that in the north, center, and south of Portugal, different food and wines. And as you know, we have also some of the best wines in the world. So Californians love it. They
Mm.
come here, especially Californians. I've had many Californians say, this looks like our coast, but it sound it some places look like home, but it's much cheaper and safer, and so on and so on. So we get that a lot. When I can tell you that even though Portugal is one of the 27 EU member states, we have independency to make our own decisions on most matters, and we are working towards um, well, getting some um, energy independence. We are working on also uh, getting some investment on AI from abroad that will bring more industry into the country. And I believe that the future in Portugal, now that we have a center right wing, I'm not going to go into political matters, but we went into a more center right wing party. So we are having some some new laws regarding construction that are very interesting. So they made big cuts on tax for whoever is building for habitational purposes. They are working towards generating more and more external investment. So which is more dynamic for economic reasons, right? And of course, the world now is strange because of everything that's happening. We don't need to go into it, but still, the Europe is still a very nice place to live in, and Portugal especially. One of the things that concern most investors is how migration is looking at this moment. And I feel that Portugal is one of the places that is not being affected at all by migration. Okay, we are having quality migration in Portugal, which is you feel that. Okay, if you go in the big cities like Porto, Lisbon, or even in the south, you feel that is very much quality migration. And um, I believe that Portugal could be a next Monaco or Switzerland kind of place in Europe if we do the right decisions in the next 5 to 10 years. So this is my perspective. Okay. But please carry on with your questions and I'll try to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. And I think that everybody kind of, the way that I see it, for example, here in Idaho, um, this is my part of the world, and we have seen a big influx of people moving into our state. And a lot of, there is a lot of people that were excited about it, some were resisting it. And our governor recently said, look, it's coming. So it's best to prepare. And so I think that's a really healthy way to handle growth, right? Is that it's going to happen whether we like it or not. And it's just, is so much healthier to just prepare for it as far as infrastructure, because I think that's one of the things that usually suffers is the infrastructure, the roads, like the traffic and all those things. So it's interesting to hear that, here you are across the world from me, and it seems like the challenges seems to be similar. But that kind of moves us into my next question, which is about foreign investment. Now, foreign investors that are entering market into Portugal, for a while there, I kept hearing a lot about the golden visa, and then we said no, it's gone away. Yes, it's still there. So, could you kind of give us an update of where that is and what's happening with it? And give me just a second. By the way, everyone, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat, and we can address them at the end of the series. Um, so, go for it.
So regarding golden visas, golden visa it didn't affect much the changes that were made, to be honest, um, because golden visa was and is something that will give a permanent visa and residency to whoever applied to them. It's still available, but in a different format. Okay, so before you could invest on a property between 300 and 500,000 euros if it was for habitational purposes, and you would apply for a golden visa, and you could bring family members and so on. Now you can still do that, but instead of going through real estate investment, you use a fund, and the minimum is 500K. So you just have to find a new and good and trustable fund to invest in, and you will still get your visa. The question is, okay, but what am I applying for with this fund? Once again, real estate. So it's an indirect way to get a real estate to get a property, but because there are always legal gaps that you can work with, and this is what happened. They changed the rules. That's all. It's still available. It's still there. More and more funds are appearing because of that. Before, no funds because it was simple. Like you can buy a property, get the money in that property, and that was it. Now it needs to be, you do the same but through a fund. That's it. Okay. The good thing about applying for a visa within Portugal or even another EU country is that you have access to all 27 member states, right? Because in Europe you have Schengen space, and there is a free a passage of goods and people within the Schengen space within the 27 member states. So if you want to live a month in Spain, you can. If you want to live a month in France, you can. If you want to live a month in Italy, you can. And then you travel throughout Europe with your van or whatever, but you still own your property in Portugal. So many people look at the visa in this way as well, because they then can apply for the visa and bring in family members, okay, which is
Very
very. You have basic rules as well, like you have to have minimum Portuguese lessons and a small test, very simple. Anyone can do it, and and then you can apply through it using Vanguard lawyers, by the way. Uh,
absolutely
and of course,
amazing.
within our team, we have Tammy that she holds a master's degree on migration and visas. So she's the specialist dealing with this kind of client. And yeah, basically, this is it about golden visas. Still here, just the rules changed. That's it.
Very well. Well, good to hear. Now everybody knows and understands it is. It's a thing, guys. It's still happening. Okay, Alejandro. So, one of the things that you and I discussed a little bit before this meeting is that I've actually had different groups from across the world and across the ocean talking with me over the last, couple of months. And it's several foreign investment groups. And they always tell me that their challenge is never the operations, that their challenge is never the data, the numbers work, they have a good business, market entry strategy, but the rubber actually meets the road when there's cultural considerations to take place because of the cultural misunderstandings. Today we kind of had a little bit of a challenge, with like managing the time zones. So could you talk a little bit about the cultural nuances that like foreigners should know or business professionals should be aware of when doing business in Portugal?
Yeah. So I get along with Americans because, for example, with Americans a lot because I'm always online. I work 24/7. And that's the American way, right? But that's not the Portuguese kind of way. We are like, hey, bring me a beer, relax, and let's get this done when it's done. No stress, like Hakuna Matata. Chill. Okay. That's the the main challenge for foreigners, expats, is when they bump into every Latin kind of culture is like this. We're like, hey, relax, okay? It's my way, not your way. Oh, but in America it works this way. Yeah, but you're not in America, okay? And many times this happens, but to be honest, me and my team, we are very American way. We work hard and we are always on the clock, but it's not always like that, okay? Then, of course, the bureaucracy you find in municipalities, I'm being fully transparent here, okay? The bureaucracy you find uh, to build a property, let's say, you have to have the right connections to make things happen. You have to have the right lawyer, the right architect, the right engineer that have the right connection within the town hall, the municipality. Uh, Otherwise, it won't work as smooth as it should. Okay. Banking system as well. As you know, I have a mortgage company. So when it comes to banks, once again, we have many international banks here, very big banks here, like Santander and others, but you know, the apps are good and so on, but they are still implemented within a country, and the bank adapts itself to the culture within many years, right? So the systems work, the apps work, but when it comes to the people in the banks, in the branches, they're still Portuguese, right? So it's the same. So finding the right mortgage broker, credit broker is a good thing because they will help you with the bank account, they will help you with the mortgage if you need one, and finding uh, the right one with the right rates. Rates are very good at the moment in Portugal, by the way. We have like between 2.5 rates, right? So, and you can get up to 80% financing in Portugal, 70-80% financing, which is very good. So many clients that invest in Portugal and they know about this, they want to split the risk of the investment overseas with the bank, with the local bank, of course, especially at a 2-ish rate. So, and to do so still, because you have so many banks, you should use a broker. But of course, also you have the health system. So that this is a very common thing. They don't understand how health is for free in Portugal, but it is. In Portugal, culturally, we have this thing like if you break a leg, you go to the hospital, you get it fixed, and that's it. You don't pay a penny. So This is for Americans. This is something they find amazing.
Mhm.
We have a free health care system, right?
Well,
Um,
that's incredible.
cultural, th yeah, cultural things. Many. We are we were for many years purely Catholic, right? But now our Portuguese constitution says we are. I'm trying to translate here, like um, we obey by no religion. Like your constitution says, uh, we are Christian, right? You are Christian. Here, it doesn't go like that, but maybe that could be a cultural shock as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I believe I covered most of the things that you should be aware of.
You know, that actually brings me to my point that a big part of my job is when I have corporates that are looking to relocate into other countries specifically, I always talk about how important it is to have a good partner on the ground. And is exactly because they know how to navigate through those challenges that you just spoke about. They know the right connections, they understand the infrastructure, they know even down to their filing system is so different. And so that, that to me is always, I always tell a company, you don't just go plant yourself somewhere. You always need a really good partner to be your guiding compass. So that's great. That's wonderful information. All right. So as we move through business etiquette, what are some essentials, do's, and don'ts that one should keep in mind when meeting with a local business leader?
Can you can you ask that again? Sorry.
Yes. What are essentials, do's, and don'ts one should keep in mind when meeting with a local business leader?
Do's and don'ts. Okay. Um, okay. So if you as a client, is the question as a client or as a partner?
Um, you could really talk about both.
Okay.
Really, honestly, if there's a way to could just kind of briefly discuss both, that would be great because I think everybody's interested in that. I mean, at some point you can be a client, but at some point, once you're there, you may be a partner.
Okay. Portuguese, because they are usually slower and they take their time. Um, they also don't like to waste time, right? So I know it's um, a very common thing in other countries to make comparison with other professionals in the same area. That's a don't. Don't do that to a Portuguese, or it will drop you in the moment and say, well, then go with the other ones and leave me alone. I'm not that kind of guy. I'll probably fight for the client or the partner, but usually a regular, common Portuguese will just drop you. The do's offer them wine and olive oil, and they will be happy. Uh, Not chocolate, wine and olive oil. That's a complete do.
Mhm.
They will be happy. Like you want a good service, wine and olive oil, or
Got
cheese or ham. That's what you should do. Not champagne, wine, red wine.
got it.
Uh, then, of course, another don't that you shouldn't do when meeting with a local partner is being on the clock. Usually we're late. Okay,
Mhm.
we're always late for everything. We're not German. Germans are on time or like 5 minutes before. Don't be on time. Like you can take your time because probably most Portuguese won't be there at the time you discussed. So that's a don't. Um, I will, by the way. Uh,
You've already nailed down the American system. That's why. That's
yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I studied you guys, so that's why.
Yeah.
Uh, Another do for Portuguese is come to Portugal. Don't only rely on because we are the kind of people that want to show you around, right?
Mhm.
If you are trying to close business through a video call, we'll do it, but our preferable way will always be to have you here, show you around, take you wine tasting, show you the culture, and then you make decisions. Um, that's how we do it. That's how we roll.
Wow,
So so yeah, that's another do.
that's amazing. Well, now you have it, folks. You wine and olive oil. That's the perfect combination now. That's really good advice. I don't think I really got down to those specifics. So thank you for that, Alejandro. Which rolls us into the next segment, which is challenges and opportunities. What are some of the common mistakes? What common mistakes do investors make when entering market in Portugal?
Common mistakes. Okay. Um, investing in real estate?
Correct.
Okay. Common mistakes. Picking the location is always a common mistake. They think that because they're going to Central Porto, Central Lisbon, or Central Faro in Algarve is the right way to go. No, always talk to a specialist in Portugal because there are emerging places now that are like growing a lot and that will become the next Lisbon, the next Faro, the next Porto, and that are cheaper now.
Mm.
Another common mistake is that when the client already knows that they will be applying for a mortgage, but they start shopping around places before they know if their mortgage is pre-approved or not.
Mm.
So they don't even know their budget. So they start dreaming and they don't even know if they can will if they can be buying or not. Having trying to do this kind of approach as well without speaking to a lawyer first, knowing about all the tax system, knowing how much they need to have in pocket money for the whole transaction. What's the many places in Portugal have illegal parts, so they need first to be legalized. Otherwise, you'll be buying a property with, let's say, 500 square meters, but only 100 is legal. The
Mm.
extra 400 is illegal. So many times this happens. Another common mistake I would say is to once again buy at a distance. In Portugal, that's a no. I love closing businesses. I love closing business fast, but I prefer closing business well. So if the client really knows the country and really knows what they're buying and where, and they are really, they've done their homework, it's better than regretting later, right? And usually, um, that's a common mistake. Many clients still now buy without even coming to Portugal once. And you need to come to Portugal, feel Portugal, and because, like I said in the beginning, it's a very deep cultural place. You need to feel it first and see and feel in your guts where you want to be because it's totally different from north to south.
Wow.
So I think I covered most common mistakes.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, Alejandro, one of the things that my team and I strive on doing through my business is whenever I have a new client consultation, I spend a lot of time trying to streamline the process. And we go through the questions of like, okay, what is your budget? Now let's put you in touch with the lender. That's when I call you. Now let's talk about what the visa looks like, and that's when we have a conversation with you and your team as well. But that's a lot of the prep work that I do through my business is getting the client prepared. But you touched on the most important part is that every single webinar that I have hosted, I always tell my clients, if you have not been to a place 8 to 9 times, you're not ready to purchase. And the reason being is because to every good business plan, there has to be an exit plan. So if you understand how to get there, but you don't understand how to exit, then that should be a good indicator that you need to spend more time in that country and more time visiting places in order for you to know the ins and outs of where you want to be located. So I think you did a really good job covering that with the challenges and opportunities. Now let's talk a little bit about sustainable development. How is sustainable development influencing business opportunities and investment strategies? Now, sustainability in the forms of there could be many factors as far as sustainability is concerned. I just took a class on sustainability in corporate settings, and I learned a lot about global warming and how are those issues being handled in Portugal.
Very well. New developers are coming in. We have developers from all over the world in Portugal. We have Canadian developers here, like Merkin is very big in operating here. We have, Vanguard Properties. We have Libertas. They're French and they're very good, and they do the green residences kind of green uh, foot. How do you call it? Green print,
Yes.
footprint, green footprint kind of properties, and we have them, and more it's here. They use solar efficiency. They use plants to give it an environment, a more natural environment. They make it be more water sustainable. So yeah, that is all, especially in the big centers, to be honest, like Lisbon, Porto, and Faro. We have more and more of those, but not so much in the other areas. Okay, because the very posh areas are the ones that have that kind of building. Lisbon, Cascais, Vila Moura, Quinta do Lago in the south, which is like Quinta do Lago is like it's a city within a city. It's a country within a country. So Quinta do Lago, it has its own environment and ecosystem, right? It's where all the footballers, all the multi-millionaires have a 20 million property. It's like Beverly Hills of Portugal. You have Cascais and Quinta do Lago, which are those places, right? And of course, in those places, you have more and more of this. In the other areas, actually, the municipalities tell the developers not to do that, to keep it as rustic as possible. Even the outside layers, they ask for it to be uh, Portuguese style, right? Inside, people are adopting a lot solar panels and green energy kind of thing. Even I, in my property, I'm totally independent. If we black out now, I'm totally independent. But that's privately how I work. But of course, developers are more aware of that, and it sells more for investors, so they are aware of that as well. So they are taking that into consideration, and because the energy crisis in Europe is also here because we stopped using nuclear energy for many years ago. We are now totally dependent on energy, so we have to find ways to reinvent ourselves, and that's what developers are doing as well.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's incredible to hear. One of the places that I also work in is Mexico, and I work in places where it's jungle. And so one of the things that developers do in order to maintain the ecosystem is that they'll build around the trees to maintain the nature, so they kind of and then also if there's any wood that is being torn while they're building, they use it to make furniture. And so they're trying to find new ways to also implement that. And I know in the United States, it's also really big for having green appliances. A lot of the new architecture in the homes, obviously, the stock of the United States was built in the 1940s. That's the largest stock. And so, a lot of the new construction, those are their incentives. It's also building homes that have great architecture in terms of being eco-friendly, sustainability, the air is flowing, that there's enough retention of the heat, so it's using less of the energy. So that's great that they're also using that in Portugal, which leads
Yeah, and
me
there is, sorry,
go.
and there are even European incentives and funds being granted to whoever uses this kind of development. So of course, because by 2030 is the plan, it's the EU's plan to be fully, on electric energy and not using any, how do you call it? Energias fósseis. Anyways, trying to, my vocabulary is a bit rusty today. But yeah, basically, we Europe as a plan, as a goal to become green energy by 2030. So they are granting funds for that.
Incredible, which leads me to the next subject that everyone in the US is discussing, which is technology and innovation. I was recently in a forum for the National District Export Council held in Nashville. And everything that was the underlying message of that whole conversation was AI in logistics. And a big part of the discussion is the building of data centers. And there's, because as you know, when they build a data center, it requires a lot of water, it requires a lot of electricity. And so they're wonderful because we're able to be very AI driven, very interconnected, but at the same time too, it's pulling from a lot of resources. So my question to you is, how is technology shaping the business environment in Portugal?
To be honest, not much yet. Not much yet. We have once again, because we are within the EU umbrella, we are always, and we are one of the smallest countries. Uh, of course, we are always on the run of what EU recommends we do, right? Some things are recommendations, some things are laws we have to abide, and others are just things that will be implemented a long time. And now there are funds for entrepreneurs to invest in AI and data centers and all of that. There is incentives for all of that, but it's just recently, like a couple months ago. If you search online, you will see that only now Europe woke up for this. I believe we are 100 years behind from the US, from China, from Europe is like 100 years behind,
Mm,
unfortunately, on that. Well, unfortunately for some people, fortunately for others, because some people love that, some people don't. So, but yeah, we are very, very much behind. We need
got it.
to catch up.
Yeah, and I understand with the unfortunate because it's subjective, right? To some, it's a great thing, and to others, it's like, hey, and we're actually, at the epicenter of this development. As a matter of fact, the United States remains a top exporter for entrepreneurship and for education. So we are providing all these tools, and the big question for a lot of the people that were there is like, well, wait, why are we not being good steward of this in our own country? And so we even have our own challenges that we're facing as well too, even though we're the ones developing it. So all right. Well, I feel like you've given us a really well-rounded just a really well-rounded knowledge as far as Portugal is concerned. And I kind of want to turn a little bit more personal to you. So I want to talk a little bit about your journey. Can you share a personal journey in Portugal business scene and any pivotal moments that shaped your career? Something that changed. It doesn't have to be now as an adult. It can be something as a child. What drove you to be Alejandro Costa, the man that you are today?
So you have a great entrepreneur in the US called Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Poor Dad, Rich Dad. And the story he writes in that book didn't really happen to him like the way he says it happened. It's just a pseudonym like we call here. But he did have his rich dad called Keith Cunningham, which is a very big name in the US. And myself, I had my poor dad, rich dad as well. I had my biological dad, which was my poor mindset kind of dad. I love him very much, but he knows and he even admits it. And then I had my uncle that even kind of raised me for some time. I lived with him for 5 years, which is a very big entrepreneur in Portugal, and he owns 14 companies and a very big group in Portugal of a big company that turns over a couple 100 million. And he was my example in growing up as a man, as a businessman. And I ended up being influenced a lot by my uncle's example. I was in the army in early age when I was 18. In 2007, I went to the Portuguese Commandos, which is like a special force in Portugal. I cannot compare them to Navy SEALs because you guys are the world's best, but it's something like, well, I would say something like um, the US Green Berets, let's say. I went to the Portuguese Commandos um, for 3 years. When I left, I went into the police. I was a regular policeman, then I was into a kind of a SWAT team in police. Meanwhile, I studied law. I left the police to be in a lawyer's office as a trainee lawyer, and because I wanted to do my master's degree as well. After that, I ended up understanding that I wanted to not only to be a lawyer and going through paperwork, but I wanted to be a businessman. And in order to be a businessman, I could not be locked in looking at paperwork and books. So I had to look at other kinds of books. And I started studying a lot about entrepreneurship. And I started studying a lot about self-development. And I ended up um, going into sales just to try. I sold vacuum cleaners for some time, and I was the best at what I did. And I promise you, that was the best experience I could ever had because uh, at the end of the day, I learned how I could influence someone to buy from me. And I was like, well, this is very interesting. I like this. Maybe I could do this at another level. So I started opening my first company, my second company, selling the idea to other people. And now I run a big team of 130 people in one company. Then I own a lawyer's office with 9 people in it. And then I open another company with another 10 plus people working in it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm good at this. So I will keep on doing this and flipping companies. Uh, uh, and now I'm even being approached by funds that want to buy my companies. Um, so this is my journey. I'm at a very young age still. I'm turning 37 tomorrow.
Happy
So
birthday.
In Portugal, we say it's bad luck to wish happy birthday a day before or something, but
Cultural
it's okay.
nuances. Cultural
Eh,
nuances. You could have said this during their discussion, Alejandro.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that one. I'm telling you now. But it's not for me. I don't believe in all that. Anyways, thank you. Yeah, I'm at an early age, and I still have a lot to do, and I believe that I'm in the center of my purpose and what God wants from me. So basically, I'll keep on doing it. And I love my people. I love working with the people. So I'm not selling the companies, by the way.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm keeping them because I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the people that I have with me, and the difference that I make in their lives every day. And if I sell my companies, that will just fade away. So
Got it.
um, yeah, this is where I am. I have two kids. Uh, they are very important for me, but I don't live for them. Okay, that's very important. I live for myself, and I try to pass them the best values I can, the best education I can. But they will. The other day, I was listening to your guy Shaquille O'Neal, and he was saying, "I told my kids, my money is my money, it's not their money, so they need to work for their stuff." And I was like, "That's it." So my kids will have to work for their stuff, and I'm giving them the education on that in that sense to be kids nowadays they take it for granted they're entitled. I'm not that kind of parent. I told my kids, if you want to work with me, first you need to go to the army. What? Yeah, that's my whose role is that? My role. Like, so I'm that kind of parent, right? uh and yeah, I mean, this is how I am, and you've learned a bit of my experience. I'm not a billionaire yet. I'm a millionaire already, but I'm not a billionaire yet. But I want to get there. So, and I believe one day I will get there. Not because I want to stack money in the bank account, but because I want to make a difference with that money in other people's lives. So.
Wonderful. Hey, and one of the things that you said during, about your experiences is I have actually listened to a lot of very successful people around the world, and they all had like, you talked about vacuums, but you didn't just talk about selling vacuums. You said, I wanted to be the best. And I think, I've listened to other entrepreneurs who have now become, big influencers in the world. One of them said, I sold subs, but I was the best sub maker that could be out there. And, when I was in high school, I was a hostess, but I was the best hostess that, could greet people at the door. And I always find it so relatable how being a hostess in high school, now I'm hosting global forums. So there's aspects of us in our childhood that really change us and we carry it with us. And sometimes we think, oh, that was just an older job. But really, it was a job that taught us how to be the best in what we were doing. So that's amazing. Alejandro, I finish every segment with just one thing and just asking you, Alejandro, what is your message to the world from Portugal?
My message to the world from Portugal is relax. In the end, everything will be all right.
I love it.
Take a
I
beer,
love
pull,
it.
pull, pull a chair and drink a beer and relax because stress will kill you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you heard it, everyone. This is Alejandro Costa. We have covered a lot of ground on how to enter market into Portugal and how to go about your investments. And remember that we're here to help you. This is exactly what I'm doing with my segments, is helping you bridge those connections. And so if you have further questions and you want to be in touch with one of us and you want to understand a little bit more, be sure to DM me and please use code word global talk. That will also help me understand a little bit of your needs and also book a consultation with us. And once again, next month, I'm super excited because next month on June 18th, I will be discussing El Bajío, an area called El Bajío in Mexico, and I will have Victoria Avila with me. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I want to say thank you so much to Alejandro for spending his pre-birthday with us and for giving us such useful information. And I want to thank all of our audience out there, because once again, we are here for you. We are here because of you, and we want to continue doing business with you. So please get a hold of us. Find me on YouTube, find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, find me on LinkedIn. I am there. I'm here for you. And once again, thank you so much for joining our session.